In this video, I'm going to show you guys what you have to know when it comes to calories for successful fat loss. Hi, my name is Nick Hedayatpour, also known as the Strength Artist. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this video, we're going to talk about calories. On my Instagram story, I asked you guys whether you're confused and overwhelmed with the amount of information when it comes to fat loss nutrition, and 85% of you guys said yes. And that's exactly why I wanted to make this series for you guys. All you have to do if you really want to confuse yourselves and if you want to have a big headache, go on Google, go on YouTube and search fat loss nutrition. You're going to see things like debate, okay, you got to go low carb, you got to go keto, you got to do this, you got to do that. Well, the thing is, none of that matters, guys, and don't do that. Don't just confuse yourself, and you don't want to have a headache. Stop Googling, okay? This is why I put together this series for you guys. In fact, without knowing the basic principles and concepts, which I'm going to show you in this series, you will never be able to lose fat efficiently and in a sustainable way. And once you educate yourselves based on these principles and concepts, you can tell whether a diet is going to be helpful or not, or whether it's going to be effective or not. In this video, we're going to be mainly talking about calories. So take a look at this pyramid. At the bottom of this pyramid, we have calories and hydration. Now, let me get hydration out of the way. Of course, it's important. It's a no-brainer. Most of your body is made of water. A lot of your reactions and actions and functions in the body rely on water. So of course, you got to be hydrated. And in the upcoming videos, I'll talk about hydration a little bit more in details. But for now, let's talk about calories. Now, just because calories are at the base of this pyramid doesn't mean that they're the most important thing. They're pretty important, but I don't want you to think of them as the only thing that matters and start filling up your body with pro-inflammatory food and junk just because you can get away with managing your calories. No, I don't want you to think about it this way. But the reason why I put it at the base of this pyramid is that I want you guys to have a strong foundation when it comes to fat loss nutrition. So this would be your step one. So you want to manage the amount of calories that you're taking in. Now, if you take a look at this equation, simple thermodynamics, there is no debate. This is a statement. This is the fact. Calories in should be less than calories out, or energy expenditure out, if you want to lose weight or fat. There's no debate. Stop it. Seriously. There's no debate. No amount of biohacking or special diet or a magical supplement is gonna mess around with this law of thermodynamics. It's just not going to happen. I want you to understand this very, very, very clearly. I cannot emphasize how important it is. This is the most basic concept that you need to understand when it comes to weight loss. Okay, now if you look at the left side of the equation, you have the total energy expenditure. So this could come from training, it could come from your basal metabolic rate, your needs, so non-exercise activity, thermogenesis like walking or the standing up and going to the corner in the office, things of that nature, and some other factors. Sometimes health conditions can affect that, but that's not what we're going to talk about here. Now on the other side, we have total food intake or total energy intake, which is predominantly food. Now if you want to lose weight, once again, I cannot emphasize, and it might sound very repetitive, but I want you to stick to your head. You need to have more energy expenditure that you take in. Now, you might be wondering, you might be asking yourselves, do I have to be in a deficit to be able to lose fat? Well, that depends. And I'm going to give you guys a couple of scenarios so that you can decide for yourself. Let's say that you're sedentary and you're not really moving around and your weight hasn't really changed much over the past few months. So you've reached that set point when it comes to weight, the weight that you're more inclined to maintain. Okay, in that case, you don't really need to go into a deficit because you're not really gaining weight or you're not really losing weight. So in this case, what I would recommend you guys to do is just to increase your energy expenditure. And the way you do that is by putting in your steps, making sure you get to the gym 4 times at least for general population clients. That's the optimal number, 4 sessions a week. And just by increasing your energy expenditure, you are going to be in favor of weight loss and fat loss when it comes to this equation. If you look at it, remember, since it's an equation, you can play around with both sides. So one side can go up, the other side can maintain, or vice versa. So that's something that you guys can do, so you don't really have to do that. But if you're gaining weight, obviously you're eating too much, you're eating more than you're supposed to, so you're going to manage that. So that's the case. Now let's say, because your body is an adaptive machine and fat loss is not linear, you're just not going to be able to, you know, keep losing fat and keep doing that for 2-3 years like that. Okay, your body is an adaptive machine, so you want to make sure that you have strategies, which I will share with you guys in the upcoming videos on how to manage this. Hit that like button. But let's say your weight is not moving, you have increased your energy expenditure. Well, that might be a time to take a look at your caloric deficit. Okay, so those are some of the you know, scenarios for you guys, so that you guys can decide on what's the best case for you. Now, I want to share with you guys something really interesting here. Now, we all have heard of low carb, high fat, keto, all that kind of stuff. And the thing is, I'm not a huge advocate of all these types of diet for fat loss. And in fact, there is no such a thing as a fat loss specific diet unless you're managing the amount of food that's going into your body. So whether you have keto or paleo, yes, there are some genetic factors which I'm a huge fan of. You have to eat for your genes, right, based on what you respond best to, and there's many factors to think about that. But as far as fat loss is concerned, you want to make sure that you're managing your calories. Now, in this study that you see on the screen, it was something really interesting. So what they did is that there were 3 groups of people. One was assigned intermittent fasting, the other one paleo, and the last one Mediterranean diet. Now, of all these diets, the intermittent fasting group lost the most amount of weight. Wait a minute, that doesn't mean that intermittent fasting is superior. No, the only difference that this study mentioned is that the intermittent fasting group was restricted in terms of calorie intake down to 17%. So they were in a 17% caloric deficit, but the rest, they ate until they're satisfied, and they didn't really increase or decrease their food intake, which tells us, or which proves the equation that we just talked about. So it's the total amount of food, but not necessarily, in most cases, the type of food that matters. So intermittent fasting is not magical, or paleo is not superior. So I want you guys to have that into your heads, so that you guys can always refer back to that equation when it comes to weight loss and fat loss. Now, you might be asking yourself at this point, well, okay, we get it, Nick. Calories are pretty important. So do I need to track it? 100% yes. But not to an extent that you might think that it takes to track food. No, you don't have to buy one of those ridiculous food scale and take it to dinner with you or to a birthday party. The thing is, if you're competing, especially when it comes to like bodybuilding and physique shows, okay, you might have to go to that extent of really being specific and measuring your food, even though I think sometimes, or in most cases, it's not really that necessary, but something that's been paying off and people swear by it. But you, as a general population client or trainee, where you have to deal with your family, you know, your finances, your job, you don't have to do that. But tracking doesn't always mean that you have to always track when it comes to numbers. There's many ways to track, and in the upcoming videos, I'm going to show you guys how to track in the simplest way possible. Now, speaking of tracking food, in my opinion, and over the observation that I've had as a coach over the past decade and working indirectly with many, in fact, hundreds of clients, the number one reason why people put on weight and gain fat is having too much food. It's simple as that. No amount of excuses is going to cover up for that. Yes, in some cases, some people might have medical conditions that that makes it really challenging for them to get leaner. But that's very rare, guys, and if that's an issue, of course you have to seek out a physician's advice, but that's very rare. So too much food is the number one reason why people put on so much fat. So that's why you have to track your food, and many people underestimate how much food they're taking. And in fact, when we do a little practice with them just for 1 day or 2 days, track how much food you're actually taking in, they always come back and say, holy shit, I am surprised in how much food I was actually taking in. And that's one of the reasons they put on weight in the first place. So it's 100% a big fat yes, you have to track your food. Now, in order to prove to you guys that many people underestimate how much food they're actually eating, which is a very well known in the fitness and nutrition coaching community, that people underestimate. I want to show you guys this study on the screen. What they did here is that they just put together a bunch of men and asked them to have pizzas until they're comfortably full. You want to know what's shocking? They ended up taking in 1,600 kilocalories. That's right, 1,600 kilocalories. Now, if your name is Brian Shaw or Eddie Hall, where you're literally a beast and you're eating 6, 7, 8,000 plus calories per day, 1,006 is pretty insignificant. But for some of you guys, 1,600 kilocalories is pretty significant, and that's only for one meal. Imagine if you stuff yourself going even beyond that and doing it for every single meal. That's probably one of the reasons why you're not losing fat in the first place. Now, the other interesting thing from this study is that was the first part. The second part, or the second experiment that they did, they told the same man to stuff themselves, literally eat to a point where they cannot move anymore, and they ended up having 3,600 kilocalories of pizzas. That's double, right? A little bit more than double of the first experiment. So a lot of you might find yourselves that you're overeating, which we will talk about in the upcoming series on how to manage them. But I want you guys to be aware that the amount of food that you eat absolutely has a crucial, a very big effect on overall fat loss. Now here I provided you guys with some examples and some research to show you that the number one reason why people gain weight is because they have too much food. That's it, guys. We have come to the end of this first video when it comes to calories. In the upcoming video, I'm going to be talking about how exactly some of the strategies that I use when it comes to management of calories with my clients. So like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.